Again, I'll be reading the newsletter, weekly newsletter from email. Shalom from an airplane on the way back to God's promised land. Vacation with I'll be reading with our brothers. Vacation with the family was amazing. The brothers also canteen, some of the most beautiful country on the face of this earth, being able to enjoy the grandeur of God's creation with my wonderful wife and children made it just that much more incredible. But soon we will be back in the land that the Lord has given to his people. There truly is no place like home. We are now less than 6 weeks away from the October 4 release of By Way of Deception, the action-packed sequel to Operation Buchanan. As much as I love the first one, this second book has me even more excited because it hits so close to home, even as the West is on the verge of signing another terrible Iran nuclear deal. Israel is desperately trying to figure out how they can stop Iran's nuclear weapons aspirations. I know that if Iran achieves nuclear weapons, those bombs will be coming to my country, quite, quite possibly to my neighborhood since I live too close to Israel's most important northern Air Force base. It is that tenuous situation that compelled me towards this plot, much of which is based on actual Mossad operations. If you are planning to purchase by way of deception, may I ask you to do so as pre-order? There are several reasons why we emphasize pre-order so much, but primarily it is a matter of accessibility. How did Reveling Revelations make it into stores such as Target, Walmart, and Hobby Lobby? Those businesses saw the amazing stir that you created through your pre-orders and excitedly jumped on board as a result. The book was able to get in front of the eyes of tens of thousands more people, including many non-Christians who would never intentionally go looking for a Christian book. Even more than revealing revelation, we want to get by way of deception in front of the eyes of unbelievers because it is intentionally evangelistic. Our prayer is that they pick it up because it is an intriguing and exciting story. Then as they read it, they will be exposed to the gospel and the hope that is found in a life that is following the one true God. Once again, it is the pre-orders that will put this book in those selling venues. So pre-order your copy of By Way of Deception today and pick up one of two more to put away as Christmas gifts. Then pray that God uses the trailer not just to entertain, but to draw people to Himself. 1 Corinthians chapter 9 verses 22 up to 23. I have become all things to all men that I might by all means save some. Now this I do for the gospel's sake, that I may be partaker of it with you. The matter is, once again, I will draw you to my Telegram channel for the latest ongoing news, particularly with what is currently happening with the Iran nuclear deal. Also, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is where I will post my breaking news updates, like the one from Sunday, which analyzed some of the most important geopolitical information facing the world right now. Iran has placed themselves in the forefront of the news. They are on the thresholds of a new nuclear deal with former Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Excuse me. 12 Fox News yesterday is far worse than the 2015 version. Europe is desperate for energy sources separate from Russia. Thus, they are ready to accept the demands of Iran. They don't care if the country goes nuclear. The bombs likely won't be coming their way. The US is ready to drop almost all sanctions. This will put billions of dollars into the pockets of the Islamic regime in Tehran. The Republican Party has already announced that it will immediately cancel any agreement with Iran if they get back in power after the November elections. It remains to be seen, however, if the votes go their way and if they have to follow through to do it. Ultimately, it's all moot anyway. As I've said for a long time, Iran already has everything they need to make a bomb. It's just a matter of whether they decide to do it. The expansions of Iranian proxy militias around Israel is growing in the north. They're in Lebanon and Syria. In the east, they are in Iraq and Iran. To the south, they are in Gaza and Yemen. Iran opposition groups are reporting that the country is establishing a new military base called Malik al-Astar in the Daraa. Governorate of Syria must too close to the Israeli border. Now Iran has begun arming militant Palestinians in the West Bank. In the same way that the Gaza Strip was armed, the West Bank can also be armed, and this process is happening, said Chief Commander of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, Major General Hossein Salami. The only factor that is slowing this expansion is Israel's constant strikes at the militia's weapons and infrastructures. Much of the weaponry with which Iran is arming their militias comes from their store of hundreds of thousands of rockets. Hezbollah and other proxy militias in Syria have over 150,000 rockets. Hamas in Gaza has 10,000. Yemen has tens of thousands. Many of these rockets are cheap and not very accurate, and the Iron Dome is equipped to deal with them. However, there are also thousands of ballistic missiles that are pointed at Israel. The Israel Defense Forces are nearing completion of a new laser system that will be able to deal with many of these threats. But even when this new system is ready, if all these militias begin raining down the rocket arsenals at once, it could be devastating to Israel. As Iran continues to deepen relationships with its proxy terrorists, they also are getting closer to a much bigger fish. One of the biggest allies and customers of Iran is now Russia, beyond Iran, selling drones and training the Russian army in how to use them. New behind the scenes deals are being set up the Russian oil, fully expecting sanctions on Tehran to be lifted with a new nuclear deal. Moscow is planning on using Iran to base their own sanctions by selling Russian oil through Iranian channels. This is bad news for Ukraine. It is also bad news for Israel, as Russia is strengthening their rhetoric toward Israeli actions against their friends Iran's proxy militia, said Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. He strongly condemned the dangerous practice of Israeli strikes on Syrian territory. The U.S. carried out airstrikes against Iranian proxy militias in Deir ez-Zor, Syria, in response to a drone attack against American forces on August 15. Today's strikes were necessary to protect and defend U.S. personnel, said spokesman Army Colonel Colonel Joe Busino. Meanwhile, Iran continues to attack the U.S. through its proxy, striking two American bases in Syria just yesterday. Just to make sure you understand, Iran is hitting the U.S. through their proxies while the U.S. is striking back against those proxies while letting Iran completely off the hook. Unbelievable. Syrian and Iranian forces in U.S.-backed SDF battled each other up in the north of Syria, resulting in a market-being shell in the city of Al-Bab. Civilian casualties, including 14 dead, 5 of which were children and allies, and at least 30 wounded. Hezbollah continues to threaten violence against Israel if the Karish oil begins operation. This is a flashpoint that could escalate quickly. Ukraine's Independence Day yesterday also marked 6 months since Russia invaded the nation. The military and civilian casualties continue to mount as Vladimir Putin stubbornly continues his prosecution of the war. The current hotspot is the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Under Russian control, from in the war, Ukraine is fearful of battling to gain the plant back and improperly, and Russia could have disastrous effects. Daria Dugina was killed in a car bomb outside Moscow Saturday night. Her father, philosopher Alexander Dugin, a man known as Putin's brain, was supposed to be in the car with her before deciding to travel separately at the last moment. The woman the Russians say carried out the assassination is Natalia Vovk, a citizen of Ukraine and member of the Ukrainian Special Operations Azov Regiment. Currently, she is in Estonia, and Russia is threatening a military response. But Estonia does not capture her and extradite her to Moscow. Some, however, are accusing Putin of carrying out this murder as a false flag against Ukraine after Dugin recently made some harsh remarks against the Russian president, even as Turkey's inflation skyrocketed to 8%. Its currency plunged on Friday to an all-time low and economically desperate. Turkey is a dangerous entity, and the world best keep its eyes on Erdogan and his government. As they in the waters, and there are around Taiwan, there are incursions by Chinese planes and warship. This is a powder keg that can go off at any moment. Japan is weighing the wisdom of stockpiling 1,000 Quest missiles within 1,000 kilometers of China and North Korea. This would place both belligerent countries within range of Japan's arsenal in case of hostilities. Terrorist militias with ties to Al-Qaeda. So Al-Qaeda took control of the Hyatt Hotel in Mogadishu, Somalia last Friday. By the time the 30-hour ordeal was over, at least 21 people were dead and more than 117 were injured. Four of the assassins were killed. However, it is unclear if there were others who escaped. The ministry. Great news registrations for the 2023 Behold Israel tours will open this Monday, August 24. There will be 3 tours, April, May, and November. This space will be limited, so if you want to see the Holy Land with me and members of the Behold Israel, then be sure to sign up right away. Keep your eyes on the Behold Israel tour page on Monday for the registration to begin. See you in Israel. I'm excited to tell you that Behold Israel Young Adults will be hosting Joe Hernandez for a special Zoom event on Tuesday, September 6th at 8 a.m. This is an extremely unique opportunity. Joe contributes to several news agencies on a routine basis and has a front row set to the increase of evil in today's world. Leaders, pastors, parents, etc. Please encourage the young people in your circles come and hear from Drew concerning the lawlessness in society today and how righteousness can respond. As read through the scriptures, it's undeniable, deniable that even today God is continuing to fulfill His promises related to the nations of Israel. Promises that were given to Abraham thousands of years ago. But why Abraham? Why Israel? And what will Israel's role be while this world has passed away? Join me on Facebook and YouTube Friday, August 26th at 12 p.m. PDT for this exciting teaching called Israel, God's Nations, for a reason and a season, in which I will provide an overview of God's plan for Israel from Abraham to eternity. Thank you so much for your faithful prayers and consistent support of me and this ministry. It is such a blessing to have our arms lifted up for service by you as you pray for the ministry. Please don't forget to include our upcoming Bible experience short beginning next Friday, September 2. September 2nd, please pray that God would provide safety and rich spiritual experience for everyone that will come to see the land of the Bible. Looking at the political reign in Israel, which is very similar to the one in the U.S., it's easy to think that the majority isn't being represented by the current government. However, as much as it may have been true at the time elections were held in both nations, the great and terrible erosion is taking place in the conservative camp in each country, while the liberal progressive left is holding its ground. It's the conservative right that is experiencing progressive liberalism sprouting within its camp. Why am I writing this word? Certainly not to make you feel sad or angry, but to make you open your eyes to the ever-changing world in which we live. Though change is rapid and is not for good, the true believers will never feel at home again in this world. We are becoming strangers and vagabonds on this earth. Can I find anything good in today's world? Yes, remember it. It is often tribulations that purify us and make us zealous to carry out God's will. But best of all is the fact that the farther we are estranged from this world, the closer we are to the moment of the rapture. Indeed, let's remember Jesus' words and rejoice. The world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world, awaiting his return. Brother Amer Pisarpa.